Hello, trading is closed on September 21st, 2016. Yesterday we had a few calls. I was looking for a gap up. I was looking for us to promptly overtake yesterday's high. I said the pattern has a tendency to have an all-day rally, but anyone who held through the Fed announcement should be prepared for some pretty big whipsaws, which happened. During the day, MEJT said ultimately lower and higher prices would print. The lower prices printed immediately. These higher prices looked pretty much out of reach, but they did print later on in the day. MEJT said this move is false and we recovered. It says that this rally is false and gives us a target of 2144.03, most likely to print tomorrow. However, we hit 2144.01 was the target. We hit 2144.03, and that's close enough to make it optional. It almost always prints anyway, but it doesn't really have to. It's interesting to note that here was a wall, here's a hole in the wall gap, and the rule is this gap tends to fill quickly. We typically undercut the low, and that's where we find support. Well, are we going to go higher or not is the question. Arguing in favor of a continued rally is the DeMark buy signal. Here's the close of number 8. You'll see how that held. You'll see that the low was number 2. All these are conducive to a good rally. And let's not forget, if we don't stop here, because I'm going to show you this is pretty good resistance, we have a potential target of recovering up to that trend line. There's always a but. Here's the but. This thing almost always prints. Here was the same situation. We had a hole in the wall gap. Here was the wall way back earlier in the month. Here's the gap. We recovered to just over the high of the wall, and this is resistance right here. Not only is it resistance from that, it's also a perfect Fibonacci retracement of this decline. I also have resistance at this price from percentage moves and from Gann fan lines. Come back to that one. It's also a target of the inverted diamond on stilts. You can see how it hits this number right on the nose. The three-leg Fed whipsaw should be starting. Here was the announcement. The first leg was down, harder as it is to believe. The next move was up. We should have a leg 3 down, and since leg 2 went over 21 handles from the point of the announcement, if leg 3 has started, we should go under 2143.85 by an amount larger than that, putting us at least into the low 2120s, and that's quite a big drop from here. As far as tomorrow is concerned, we have strong resistance at this point. I think if we're going to break through this resistance, ideally it should be by gapping over it. If that happens, I think we have further to go. And the target, the next one I have is up to this line. But there's strong resistance here, typically a rally to but not through resistance holds. And as long as we don't break through this, ideally as long as we don't have a gap over it, I think we're going to drop. I think we have a target of 2144.01, and I think before it's all over, we could be in the 2120s. Of course, not all in a day. not necessarily all in the day, and the next leg down could be starting. So tomorrow's open, and this high I view as critical, and that's today's call.